Welcome to the number one friendship podcast in the country. I'm Matt Ritter.
I'm Aaron Cairo.
Guys, go to manoftheyearpodcast.com for all our other stuff, our merch, the onesies. You got to get the onesies. And, go to YouTube if you want to look at our silly faces. I'm really excited, Cairo, because it's not just me and you today. So that's always a joy for me.
Thanks.
Just to have somebody else to talk to every now and then. But this guy is somebody I've just been keeping an eye on, been following, a lot of wisdom that he imparts on social that I've been forwarding to you relentlessly. I'm like, we got to get this guy. He's wise. You're like, all right, fine, let's get him. So I'm really excited to have him. He is an inspirational writer, content creator, captivating millions of people every week through his insights and bi-weekly newsletter called The Curiosity Chronicle. Sahil Bloom is a successful entrepreneur, owner of SRB Holdings, managing partner of SRB Ventures, an early stage investment fund, if you want to get your money right, guys. But more importantly, he's the author of a brand spanking new book called The 5 Types of Wealth, a transformative guide to design your dream life. Sahil has created this groundbreaking blueprint to build your life around these 5 types of wealth, and we're going to get into it. It's time wealth, social wealth, mental wealth, physical wealth, and financial wealth. A life of true fulfillment, engaging all 5 types, working dynamically in concert across the seasons of your journey. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the pod, Sahil Bloom.
Thank you for that. I feel like I need to pay you to just follow me around now.
I'm a hype man.
That was pretty good. I know. That was like, I feel like I entered the boxing ring.
So I came in very sweet, but now I'm going to come in a little hotter. You're pretty young. I don't like that. You're 34. What gives you the balls to tell others how to live?
I have spent a lot of time thinking about the human condition. And I would say that probably like most common question I get is actually that one, which is just like, hey, you write a lot about like ideas, wisdom for living a good life. You haven't lived that long of a life. And I actually totally agree. And what I say is that I am not in the business of giving anyone the answers. I don't have the answers for you to like fix your life, exactly how to live, because there's not one way to live. And the truth is that any guru that tells you they know the exact answer is lying, and you should probably run in the other direction. What I can do, and what I do, is help you wrestle with the right questions and give you the questions that you should be asking and navigating and deconstructing in your life so that you can come to your own answers. And that is what I've tried to do throughout my entire journey as a content creator, as a writer. And it's certainly what I do with the book, which is very question forward, really trying to lead you to those right questions that you need to ask, that you need to discuss with the people around you so that you can define those things that truly matter to you and then build your life around them.
I love that. Because I was thinking to myself, what we do a lot too is like, I always say like, hey, we're not telling you what to do. Like, everybody has their own journey. So I like that you've identified that.
It's the most annoying thing, by the way, about social media these days, which is like the stuff that gets the most likes and the most shares is the person shoving an answer down your throat. They're like, hey, this is the only way for you to eat if you don't want to die. You have to eat this way. Or like, this is the only workout that you can do to possibly get jacked. Otherwise, you're going to be fat your whole life. Or like, this is the only way to invest your money. Otherwise, you're going to be broke and poor. And the reality is like, we know that's not true. There's a million different ways to live your life and live it extremely, extremely well. But the important point is asking the right questions so that you can build your own version of that, so that you can come to your own set of answers.
I just wanted to mention, you were joking that Matt's a great hype man. You wish Matt could follow you around. I mean, that's what I have. Matt is my hype man. He follows me around. But we go out. I'm single. Matt will hype me up too much. So he'll be like, Cairo, he's written 15 books. I've written 8. Like he does this, he does that. He increased everything by 40%. So then when I finally meet the girl, it's nowhere to go but down. So I don't like it.
I kind of like the round up friend, though. I like that. I like that he rounds you up on things.
Friend.
Yeah.
I'm the roundup friend.
Yeah,
That's
it's
great.
good. Like, you're 5'9", he's like, yo, 6'2". You're just like, oh, you get a couple
That's right.
roundups here and
That's right.
there.
I've been calling Cairo 5'9".
Yeah.
Oh man, he does round up. He just rounds up like, a lot. But that's fine.
It could be worse, man. It could be worse.
That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
very true.
He's gonna miss it when I stop doing it.
Totally.
I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, we need more Kairos in
Yeah,
our
yeah,
lives.
yeah.
So let's talk about the book, Five Types of Wealth. So we were chatting offline that we wanted to focus a little bit on social wealth because our podcast is about friendship. We talk a lot about social fitness. So for our listeners, how do what is social life? That's social wealth.
So social wealth is what it sounds like. It is, your depth and breadth of connections to the people around you, and your ability to really build and cultivate those relationships across the different seasons of your life. And when I say seasons, that's a really important concept when it comes to this book because um, you're talking about building and balancing your life. And there are going to be seasons where you are prioritizing different things. For example, in your 20s, it is a great time to build a financial foundation for the rest of your life. Really focusing on and building financial wealth in those early years is important because then you can have a base that you can compound off of in the future. That is going to shift and change. And in your 30s and 40s, you may want to really prioritize your relationship with your kids, your relationship with your partner, your relationship with a few close friends. You may no longer care quite as much about having a million friends like you did in your 20s, and you might want to be focused on those few. So, the point of that seasons concept is that what you're focusing on and prioritizing in any one season does not determine what you have to focus on in different seasons. The most perfect example from my own life of that is like my wife, when our son was born, he's 2.5, really wanted to prioritize being a mom. She was on a like high-powered track in the world of fashion design, the corporate world, rising through the ranks, and stepped off of it for this season of life to really focus on being a mother to our son. And that doesn't mean that she cannot reprioritize her work purpose and meaning in a future season. All it means is that for this season of life she's going to prioritize this one thing. So I want to preface it like as you talk about any of these things, as any of these concepts, it's all about navigating within and then across these different seasons of your life. Social wealth in particular is something that I spend almost every day of my life thinking about because we now live in a world where I would argue that the loneliness pandemic is the real pandemic we should be talking about. Teenagers are spending 70% less time with their friends in person than they were 20 years ago. 15% of men say that they don't have a single close friend. 60% of Americans say that nobody really knows them well. It is shocking and terrifying to think about some of the statistics about loneliness, especially when you consider the fact that there is scientific evidence that loneliness is going to increase your all cause mortality. It leads to higher dementia risk. It leads to all of these enormous challenges in your life. And yet, no one is really talking about it on a grand scale. We spend a lot of time talking about issues facing society when I would argue that loneliness, the lack of human connection, especially in a world of social media, is the biggest one. And one of the things I share in the book when you talk about social fitness is the Harvard study of adult development, which I would argue is the most important study of the last 100 years. Showed that there is scientific evidence that your connections and your level of connection with people around you is the single greatest predictor of your physical health. They found that the single greatest predictor of health at age 80 was your relationship satisfaction at age 50. And how much are you actually thinking about that, thinking about the texture of your relationships versus all of these other things in your life?
So, by the way, you're gonna love this. I've been calling Cairo and I friendship billionaires for 2 years now.
I love that.
But I never heard anyone say social wealth, so I love it. Here we are, very socially wealthy guys. But I wanted to ask you this. You have these 5 different types of wealth, and it's always been my contention that we've always had it backwards in the interplay between the different areas of our life. In that, for men especially, we always thought that if we crushed it at work, we got married, got a nice house, all this other stuff, all the other things would follow. And I actually think it's relationship first, not just from this Harvard study of it all, but from that all of these other things will actually naturally. I've never met anybody that has a good social circle that is really lacking in a lot of these other things. I find, I don't know if you agree with that, or if you found sort of, how do you sort of rank, these other things? Because obviously you're a very fit guy, you're doing well
Yeah.
financially. How do you sort of explain the interplay between them? And do you think one drives the other, or is it just kind of flat?
No, I think that the way I describe social wealth is that it is almost impossible to enjoy any of the other types of wealth without social wealth. What good is having a whole bunch of money if you don't have people to dote upon? It's scientifically proven that giving away money actually feels better than having money and spending it on yourself, right? Like having a yacht with no one on it that you love sounds like my version of hell. Right?
Yeah.
Like flying around by yourself on a private jet sounds like hell, right? Like what matters is the people that you are with. And it's so funny because you ask people, and I did this for the book, asked hundreds and hundreds of people that I interviewed to define their ideal day at age 80. Like walk through, really imagine what you are doing at age 80 and what makes it a perfect day. Every single one of them will sit there and tell you that their ideal day at age 80 is like with their partner by their side, with their grandkids playing, with their children around them, with their best friends coming over. All of them say the same thing. And then you go look at the actions that they're taking on a daily basis today, and they are not nearly aligned with trying to create that future. They're going around and chasing bullshit, and they're treating the people around them like shit, and they're not actually doing the things that lead to that 80-year-old future. So the thing that I always just say as a call to action is like, what matters in the end. It's not the amount of money in your bank account. It's the people that you have by your side. It's the people that are creating that feeling of value and that feeling of being loved and connected. So why aren't you taking action today to invest in those things in the same way that you would in any financial investment? Because if you don't act today, those people are not going to be there. Everyone says like, life is filled with laters, and the journey to success is filled with laters. You say like, I'll spend time with my kids later. I'll build more friendships later. I'll spend more time on my health later. And the reality is that later is just another word for never, because those things are not going to be there later. Your kids are not going to be 5 years or 8 years old later. They're going to be grown up and not want to spend as much time with you. Your relationship with your partner is not going to be there later if you don't invest in it today. These things don't exist on an infinite time horizon. You can't just say like, oh yeah, I'll focus on that thing later, because it will not be there for you in the same way that it is today.
So funny. Kara and I have this joke that men are always like, oh, yeah, I have my best friend. I haven't talked to him in 10 years. But when we get together, it's like we just picked up where we left off. I can go 20 years. And I'm like, but why would you want to go 20 years without seeing your best friend? No, I was at his funeral and it's just like I just seen him. We're just picking up where we left off. It's like, well, dude, he's dead. He's dead.
It's sad.
Yeah.
It's I mean, men, and by the way, like it is true, men and women are very different with this. It is true that, at least in my experience, that men can feel a level of depth and connection with fewer contact points than women. That is a blessing and a curse, as you say, because it's a curse in the sense that like that means you think you don't need to do anything for that relationship, because like, oh, we get back together once a year and we hit it off. But like, look, if I only get together with my best friends once a year, I'm going to see my best friends 40 more times before I die, right? If I only do the one annual guys trip. And that's like a good case, because realistically, there's going to be years we miss it. There's going to be stuff that happens. And that's terrifying. Why would I only want to see my best friends 40 times, as you say? Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
I wanted to get into this. We have 3 morning people here. What time do you get up?
I'm like a 4:15
Oh,
guy.
get the fuck out of here.
Are you? Is that
Oh.
late?
That's early. I'm about 5
Late?
a.m.
Oh, I thought you were going to hit me with like a 3:45 flex right there.
You have a 2.5-year-old. I have a 19-month-old. Kira doesn't have kids, but I get up at 5.
6. I'm at 6.
Right. So, and we all get up and we do a lot early morning. So we're better than everybody. We know this. But I want
Do you
you
cold
to
plunge? Because you're only better than everybody if you cold plunge.
Okay, so you know what? I'm just going to get into this right now because I want Sahil to judge me on this, Karo. So I don't have a cold plunge, but I do take a cold shower every morning.
Mm.
Does that count, or am I half a man?
Do you use a pink towel afterwards as well? No, that counts, man. Look, I actually would argue, and I'm a cold plunger. Like I have a cold plunge on my deck of my bedroom, so I use it every morning. But I would argue that a cold shower is harder.
What?
Yeah.
No
There's
way. How
something
so?
so uniquely challenging about getting like the way the water just hits you and like kind of like hits you in different spots where like part of you is not getting hit, and having the handle right in front of you that you could stop it at any moment
Mm.
is like just mentally I find that way harder.
Well, all right. Now I feel
Yeah, so
great
you're
about
you're a
it.
badass. You're a
By the way,
badass.
the only way I get through it is I do a habit stack. I do my gratitude list while the cold
Oh, I
shower.
like that.
I would never get through it otherwise.
I
Never
like
get
that.
through
Yeah, but the thing is, he's only grateful for like 3 people, so it's a very
it.
quick.
That's true. It's short. But like look, it's like a 10-second shower. It's pretty good. It's better than nothing.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
So
one of the ideas in the book, which relates to social wealth as well as any of the other ones, is that anything above zero compounds. So, like, you guys are ambitious. Ambitious people, one of the things that we do that is really bad is that we let optimal get in the way of beneficial. So we say, like, I don't have an hour to go to the gym today, so I'm just not going to go. Or I don't have time for like a full catch up call with this friend, so I'm not going to text them. Whatever that thing is. And the realization that's really powerful is like, well, doing the tiny little thing is better than doing nothing, especially if you're willing to do it daily. And so, like, a 10-second cold shower is better than nothing. Like, if you get something out of it, if you do the gratitude, like, it's better. And it's sending the one text to the friend. It's like, taking the 5 minutes to call your parents, whatever that little thing is, all of that compounds positively toward the life that you want.
So you're really sticking with the cold plunging thing. You're really like that's a
I
thing
mean,
that
I
really.
have loved cold plunging since like 2012. So I was in this game like way
whoa.
before it was the trendy
I hope
social
you
media
invested in
thing.
a cold plunge company then.
I unfortunately didn't because I didn't know that like I to honest it's shocking to me because it's miserable.
Mm.
And it's still miserable. I do it every single day and I hate it every single
That's the
time.
thing.
It's
It
really
never gets good. It's
no, it
never
never gets
like
good. You're never like, oh, but you feel amazing getting out. So you kind of you get better at pulling the after into the before. You get better at recognizing how good it feels and like being able to uh mental gymnastics your way into doing the thing because you know how it's gonna feel after.
Does it count that I drink a smoothie every morning? It's really cold, a lot of ice, and it drops my body temperature to the point I'm shivering.
Um how sweet is the smoothie?
It's not that sweet.
Yeah, then it counts. It's like an internal cold plunge.
It isn't like an internal
Yeah.
cold plunge.
internal
I'm
plunging. I
You
love
should
that.
fill your mouth with ice while you drink it, and
Mm.
then, like, it would be good. As long as you get a brain freeze from it, I think it counts.
oh yeah, because I use
Are you
frozen fruit, so it's like ice.
are you
It's
using the thing I got you for your birthday? That ice thing I got you?
the corksicle.
Yeah.
This is what I drink my water with because I don't consume caffeine.
That's by the way, that is, like, the most deranged behavior that I've ever heard in my
Oh,
life.
so
You're
you think
deranged in the cold plunge.
Yeah,
well,
that
that's
is
I was
that
gonna get
is
into it.
psycho shit.
I wanted to get into because Sahil seems like super, almost like Cairo level sociopath of like routine. So Sahil, you don't know Cairo. He has an algorithm for everything. He has a spreadsheet for every person he's ever met in his life. He eats the same meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner every
It's
single
like
day of the
American
week.
Psycho.
American Psycho level,
Hey,
Okay.
that guy was doing really well. Besides whatever the other stuff was going
and
on.
lean, and very
Yeah,
very very lean. But I
He
want
is
to get
lean.
back into the morning, morning of it all. Like, how much do you think that ties into, a life of wealth, by your terms?
Yeah, I mean, I think that having a consistent routine of any sort, um, lends itself really well to making progress. And growth is where we all derive a lot of happiness and fulfillment, right? The feeling that you're getting better at things, that you're making progress, that you're learning, that you're developing as a human being, embracing a growth mindset. I mean, it ties directly to the concept of mental wealth in the book, but also just helps you in every area. And I think that like morning routines get a bad rep because they're very like hot thing on social media. Talk about your fancy morning routine. Your morning routine doesn't have to be fancy, but starting your day with like a consistent set of practices, even if it's like one thing or two things that just like kind of create and set the tone that you're going to approach the day with is really useful. I mean, even if it's waking up and the first thing you do is just say like one thing you're grateful for. Um, really, really helpful. You approach the day with some level of consistency because we all know life is super chaotic. And so as soon as the day starts, there's emails, your kid's puking, there's like, your wife's yelling at you, like whatever. There's a million things that can be going wrong during the course of the day. But if you can have that level of consistency, it was like the guy that wrote that book, the make your bed thing, right? Like, I don't make my bed, never made my bed my whole life. My mom tried to get me to make my bed, never done it. It's the same principle. It's like do the one thing to start your day that kind of just sets the tone for how you're going to approach everything.
I make my bed. That's no surprise to anybody here.
Yeah, that's no surprise. Do you make those like ASMR videos on Instagram where you do the like cleanliness and then you like have your like you don't do coffee, so I don't even know what you do. You like green tea? Do you green tea or no?
Only drink water and alcohol.
Water and alcohol. So you're not Mormon, so it's not a Mormon thing.
No,
Okay.
it's just my body is a temple unless I'm getting shit faced.
No caffeine is just like I mean,
That's why he's up so late at 6. That's why he's up so late.
it's baffling to me.
Why I'm up so late?
Yeah, you're up so late. That's why you can't get up before 6.
Sleeping in until 6.
Oh,
Sleeping
6.
in.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
really
It is kind of funny to hear, and Matt, I'm sure you appreciate, like, I feel like it's like we're just like two psychopaths talking to each other. You're like, no coffee, and I'm like, cold plunge, and you're like, how the fuck do you live? And I'm like, how do you live?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that no caffeine, with the research now that shows that coffee is actually quite good for your health.
Oh,
No
get
caffeine
out
in
of
my
here.
mind is just like full psychopath behavior. But
Good for your health. They used to say red wine was good for your health, and it's not good for your health. I mean, they'll change it next week.
that's true, actually. That is
I,
true. We'll
I
find out that coffee's actually like the worst thing in the world for you.
and
Yeah.
Sahil, I am like a trend jumper honor of I've been on every,
Oh God.
You put on that like
whatever.
red light therapy mask
Every,
nowadays before you
every
go to bed.
every trend that's hot on. I'm like the ultimate consumer that
You're the
Instagram
guy.
loves. They love it. I send things
You're
to my wife.
lowering everyone's CAC. That's good.
Yeah, I send everything to my wife. She's like, I got this like 4 days ago.
I
I
mean,
love
one
that.
time he texted me, he's like, I'm doing this cayenne pepper cleanse, so I can't hang out. I was like,
Yeah.
never speak to me again.
I feel like that's like a female Instagram influencer trend.
That's what I'm all of them. And every
Flat
gym
tummy
trend,
teas. Yeah,
I've
that's
switched
good.
gyms. I've done every type of
Did you feel
workout.
cleansed after the cayenne pepper?
I mean, you do for like a hot second, and none of those things are sustainable.
Just because it was so spicy that it like
Yeah,
cleaned you
I
out, or
mean,
what?
yeah, it clears. I mean, anytime you clear the pipes out, you're feeling, oh, I'm much
You could have
lighter
just
now.
gone to like Chipotle and gotten a
Yeah,
double chicken bowl, and you would have had the
same
same
exact, it's
effect.
the same principle behind it. We wanted to get into friendship,
Yeah.
like I guess first of all, what is your friendship circle like in
Yeah.
your actual life?
Yeah. I mean, something that I think about a lot is like I spent most of my life up through my 20s really wanting to be liked. And in order to be liked, you let things slide. You avoid hard conversations. You go with the flow on things. You're easy. You say yes to everything. And a lot of people will like you when you don't set boundaries and when you do that. Um, but the real people, the real ones, love you when you do the opposite of that. Like when you take care of yourself, when you engage in the hard conversations, when you set boundaries, when you say no to more things. And what I've found in my 30s is my circle has tightened and it's entirely focused on those people that I want to love. Like, I don't really feel the need anymore to have the like enormous circle of people that are like loose connections that kind of come and go that I would argue are like uh, tourist friends. Like they're there when it's nice and warm, and then they're gone when it gets
Hmm.
tough. I want the people that are going to be there in the mud. Like they're there for you on your bad days, and they're willing to just come and sit with you. Um, I don't have time for for the loose relationships that I feel like are just going to be, here today, gone tomorrow. And that's just been part of like my own kind of natural maturation process, and also part of, frankly, just like I have my wife and I have my 2.5-year-old son, and those are my fucking people. Excuse my language. And like, I don't have a ton of free time in my life relative to like projects I'm working on, things I'm doing, and the time I do have, I am with them. And like my son is not going to be 2.5 for very long. He's not going to be, you with your children, you know this. You have a 10-year window when you are their favorite person in the whole world. And after that, they're going to have other people. They're going to have best friends. They're going to have girlfriends, boyfriends. They're going to have their own siblings. They're going to have partners, spouses, their own children. And you are never going to get them back in the way that you have them during that 10 years. And so I am so hyper focused on being engaged and giving my energy to my son in a really true and deep way during that window. Because if there's anything I know, it's that um, success to me looks like having an adult child that still wants to hang out with me. And that doesn't just magically happen. That happens because you invested in that relationship over those early years.
So funny. I think about that all the time. I think about that all the time of like, hey, I want my son to want to hang out with me, you know? But I also I'm so locked in on that, what you're talking about of that is my like all of my life right now. I'm like anytime I'm on the phone or working, I never want to let him see that.
Hmm.
Like he gets my 100% attention.
Yeah, I like it's a I write about it in the book. There's a chapter called "The Days Are Long, but the Years Are Short," and the tension that we all need to navigate as men and as parents, as fathers, is being present and giving our kids that energy, but also making sure that they learn the importance of working hard on things that light us up. And I have navigated that, or how I'm navigating that, is by I am going to make sure that my son is included in the why of why I'm doing the things I'm doing.
Mm.
And so if I'm traveling and if I'm gone, I want him to know why I'm doing that, why it matters to our family, why it matters to the missions I'm on, why it matters to me as a provider, to me as a, someone who can impact other people's lives. Hopefully, I want him to know that. And he's 2.5, so it's going in one ear and out the other right now. But I know that it's going to stick over a longer period of time. And the reason I think that's so important is because if you don't answer that why, your kids fill it with the worst version when you're gone, if you're missing dinners or you're missing a sports game or you're missing something because you're working, your kids will fill that with it's because dad doesn't care about me. It's because dad, isn't around a lot. It's because dad prioritizes work over this. If you explain it and you're there with them and they're part of that journey with you, then they fill it with the correct version, the real thing that you care about providing for the family, that you care about this work you're doing, and that you believe in working hard. And that's a core value that you hold. And I felt that with my own dad and our relationship. I always knew why he was going on the work trip or why he was doing the work late at night or whatever that thing was. And so I had the right why. So I always knew. And I felt like that allowed our relationship to thrive no matter what season he was in terms of the work intensity that he was pursuing.
Matt, you said you never like to have Brenner see you on the phone or doing work. How come whenever we have a conference call, he's just climbing all over you?
Well, I mean, I can't control it, but it's great. But I also do that usually so he does see like, hey,
Yeah.
this is what I'm doing.
Yeah. And look, like they have fun with it. I don't know how you said your
I
kid's
let him
19
press on
months.
the keys until he
Yeah, yeah,
deletes,
totally. Like
you know?
now Roman will come in here and like say work, work, data, work, and like come sit at my computer and be tapping
Yeah.
away and doing things. Like he's starting to get it. And like they're real people at this age. But I think that's a really important one. I mean, for any young dads out there, like I just think thinking about that is important.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to ask, obviously, because our listeners, I want them to get as much as they can out of hearing you, even though obviously we're focused on friendship. I would be remiss if I didn't ask, like, what would you say, or, is one of the best pieces up on the financial front? Just because I think all of our listeners are in that demo of probably 30s and 40s. Most of our listeners
Mhm.
are at the point in their lives of really focusing on trying to build financial stability or wealth. So I'm just curious if there's kind of something that could boil down to them on what would be some of the best advice.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the most important thing I would say to anybody, you can go read. There's hundreds and hundreds of financial books out there on building and accumulating wealth. The angle that I think is important as it relates to my book in particular is uh, clearly and consciously define what enough looks like to you. because the human tendency is to just have that be like a mirage. You get to whatever you thought your number was, and then you just accelerate it. It keeps moving. And the problem is that that just keeps you on the chase. You keep thinking that the next level, the next layer, the next ring that you're going to reach is going to be the one where you all of a sudden feel happy. And the research on this is clear, which is like once you get above a certain baseline threshold, if you're unhappy, more money is not going to change that. And if you're happy, more money is not going to change that. So these other things are the things that really matter. But the important point there is that you know what that enough life looks like. And actually making it a conscious visual, a conscious thing in your imagination. What does that look like? It doesn't need to be Spartan. Like my enough life has 2 houses. Like I want a house where I can entertain people in some, beautiful setting, like a lake house or whatever it is. It doesn't need to be that it's like, you're in a tiny little shack somewhere. But knowing what that looks like to you where you are today forces that like growth and acceleration to be a conscious thing rather than subconscious. So that when you get to it, rather than it just automatically resetting without you thinking about it, you can actually say like, oh, I kind of have all the things that I need. This is enough to me. I don't feel like I need more. If I want to build more because I want to play the game better and I want to keep learning and I want to keep growing, then great. But it's not because of just this subconscious, staircase effect.
So we got to aim lower, Matt. We'll be happier if we just aim a little bit lower.
I know, but
I
but
mean,
we're not built that way. We're not built
what
that way. That's the trick. Is a lot of men that I know. I think the men on this call, it's hard because we're not built that way. So I think that's the trick for me, for
But
sure.
define it around the game that you're playing, the games rather than the money.
Mhm.
Because money's so easily measured, it becomes the only way that we measure ourselves. And so
Right.
it's part of what I'm getting at in the book is like broaden how you measure your life around all of these things. And so like if you came to me and you were like, hey, I'll give you $100 million to come work for the next 3 years. My default, if I was living in a world where I only measure my life on the basis of money, would be like, hell yeah, I'm gonna like, tell me where I need to go. I'm gonna run. But now, if you tell me that I'm gonna have to be away for 300 days out of the year, that I'm gonna work on things that I absolutely hate, and that I'm gonna have to work 90 hours a week. Now it's a hell no, right? Because now I'm like, okay, yeah, it's $100 million on one side, financial wealth way up, but social wealth way down, no time with my family, time wealth way down, physical wealth way down, mental wealth because I'm working on things I hate way down, right? So now I have a better way of measuring this. I can actually make the decision with a clear perspective on how this is going to impact my entire life rather than just the one area that you've previously been focusing on.
Wise words. We could talk to you forever. Can you tell our listeners, where they can find you, plug the book, do your thing?
Yeah, I mean, you can find more about the book at the5typesofwealth.com. And you can buy it anywhere books are sold. I always say, like, go to your local bookstore because supporting local bookstores is awesome. But you can obviously also get it on Amazon or Barnes and Noble or wherever. And then for me, I have a weird name, so you can find me on any social platform at Sahil Bloom at my name.
And
Well,
that's
thank you so much.
Sahil Bloom to
Yes.
our audio listeners.
Yeah, this was an awesome convo. As I said, we've been wanting to do this for a long time. And guys, go out and buy the book, please.
And then let's
Appreciate you guys.
all take a cold shower.
Yeah, we're gonna
Okay,
have to do
guys.
this in person next time because this was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. Always remember, be good to yourself, be good to your friends. Hey, Matt, I love you, buddy.
Love you, buddy.